Welcome back, everyone. I'm Zell, and today we're getting a look at the LionSteel Roundhead. Alright guys, the LionSteel Roundhead is LionSteel's stab at getting back to the traditional market. And they've done some cool stuff here. Let's get a closer look at it. We've got what I assume are titanium bolsters. And as we roll the knife around, it just looks good, fits well together. We got G10 up here, and they've done something back here that I really like, and we can kind of see it on this end of the knife. It's really hard to get it to focus there. All the two liners and the back spring on this knife are all radiused. Instead of trying to make them all shiny and smooth like many traditional knife makers will do, they've just radiused everything and made sure it fit well together, and that's beautiful to me. I do like that a lot. Very nice. And we have a closed length on this guy of 3.75 inches, a handle thickness of 0.47 inches, and a height of 0.93, and a weight of 2.26. Remember that. That's going to be important here in just a minute. Now, getting a close look at it, everything here fits extremely well. This is a jack pattern knife, and they've done it really, really well. You know, I'm not a traditional knife guy, but you know, I can see good fit and finish. And the only thing that bugs me, and yeah, I got that piece of paper flapping around there for a reason. Look at this. And it happens on both sides. If we're going to do traditional knives, we should be doing better than that. But it's still not bad. Looking at it, it doesn't look too bad. And if you're going to put this knife to use, it's not a big deal. Very nice, and I like what LionSteel has done as far as the attitude of the knife. They radiused all that. Instead of trying to hide the pins, they've used torque screws. And they've said, there they are, they're right there in your face. We are a knife company that likes to assemble our stuff with stuff that can be disassembled. No, we're not going to disassemble it, because I'm afraid anytime with a traditional style knife that pieces and parts may fly everywhere, and this is Stazza 23's knife, and I don't want to lose all those pieces and parts. But let's get a look at something here, if I can find us a T6. Is that a T6? That's not a T6. That's not a T6. I bet the one on the end of this one is a T6. It is. There is our Weehaw. And they're not the greatest T6s in the world. Not the worst I've seen. But they're alright. They do have a bit of stick whenever you try to pull them out, so I would call them pretty darn good. Except for that one. Anyhow, that one didn't have any stick at all. Anyhow, loud and proud right in your face with the torque screws. And I actually like that. I kind of wish that the traditional knife companies, we've talked about this before, and I'm going to get on my soapbox for just a moment here. I wish the traditional knife companies would reach out to the rest of us. And what I mean by that is there's this huge market for people that are buying stuff like this, and I'm bumping the camera and making things go wonky on you, and stuff like this, and at some point stuff like this. And spending hundreds of dollars on these things, and most of the people that are buying those, not all, but most, aren't buying these. But if Northwood, or what, Great Eastern Cutlery and some of these others would step out of their comfort zone and make more stuff like this, and you know, make it a liner lock or something, some of us might be able to see the light and look more at the traditional knives, or they would think we were seeing the light anyhow. If they continue to just make stuff that's the same stuff they made last year with a different pattern, or slightly different pattern, or different wood, we're not. So I like what LionSteel's doing. They're stepping out there saying, we're going to try to reel in some of those regular knife guys. Now I'm almost 4 minutes in and we haven't looked at the blade. That dude right there is M390. M390. That's another thing those traditional knife companies should be doing. And yeah, I know this is a review of the LionSteel Roundhead, and I'm talking about all the other traditional knife companies, but it's important. Look, I mean, right there. M390. Made in Italy. Those other companies need to look at that too, because, and look at that edge stas I put on that thing, because that's important to many of us. We want to see darn good steel in our knives, and that's what we've got here with the LionSteel roundhead. So let's do a little bit of size comparison, and we're going to do something a little different here because I want you to think. And yeah, I know, it's early in the morning, late at night, whatever. You don't want to think, you just want to sit back, have your drink of choice. But hey, now that we got them all out here, think with me for just a minute, and I'll let you go back to your mindlessness. Actually, if you're watching this channel, no, I'm not going to do it. Anyhow, this guy is $100 to $125, depending on whether you get G10, carbon fiber, some kind of special wood, whatever on this right here. And is it worth it? Well, yeah, I think so. But if you're in the market for these sorts of things, there are other options out there. This R2-D2, $33. They clip off of it, stick it in your pocket, and you have a locking knife with a D2 blade. Weighs a little more than the round head, but really it's about the same size. So that's something to think about if you're thinking, well, I'm going to carry that as a gents folder, stick in my pocket. Okay, that's fine. Do that. Be cool with it. Then you have a Spyderco Delica. Spyderco Delica weighs about the same, has a little bit more blade. This one happens to be a Knives Plus Special Edition, or not Special Edition, Custom Shop S30V Delica. Has S30V and then the funky design on the handles. And this guy costs about the same, but same deal here. It's a little bit bigger in size, but take the clip off of it, stick it down in your pocket, and you have about the same thing, about the same money, but you have a better tool for everyday carry, in my opinion. Even stuff like this Fraction, you know, I have never clipped this in my own personal pocket. I've always just tossed it down in my left-hand pocket. Why? Because this thing doesn't weigh anything. Now, we do have a major price discrepancy here, and we have quite a bit cheaper steel and quite a bit less quality steel. And that's one of the things I just got to harping about. But, you know, here's the deal. 25, 30 bucks, 100 to 125 bucks. So, you know, those are decisions that you have to make. And I guess that's for the traditional knife guys that may be watching this. You can carry a modern pocket knife and get your locking mechanism and get your good steel and not have to carry a jack pattern or whatever pattern you prefer to carry. Anyhow, moving on along, we're going to get to our pause and read card, and I'll be right back with you. Alright, mechanically guys, there's not really much here. And you look down in there, you can see the stop pin hits right here. And we do have a half stop and a full stop. Now, I do like that there's a half stop. That is very nice. Now, the one thing I don't like about this knife, and it is my major complaint with this knife, is the full stop is not very strong. I don't have to have a locking blade, but I grew up with this type of knife, except most of the ones I had were your case knives, and I forget what the other brand was. Some of them were the older Bucks, and I forget what other brand it was that my dad would keep around. And they all had, on the knife this size, their full open stop was pretty stiff. This one is not. This one would bother me getting into anything real hard. I would not want to get my hand out there on the blade because I'd end up cutting myself. And that is disappointing. Now, LionSteel may have done that to meet some legal thing somewhere. I don't know. But something just to point out. I do not like that at all. That full stop should be stiffer, in my opinion. And ergonomics, I mean, ergonomics, it's simple. You're good to go, no matter what you got to do with it, except getting your hand, your thumb too far out there. That's not going to be a good thing with this knife. Simply because you go to bear down on something, you can turn that guy right into your hand. But that's the case with a slip joint. So as you know, if you're watching this video, a slip joint can be a dangerous knife. You have to respect it. You have to use it in the proper ways. That's one thing that those of us that have spent most of our life using locking knives, we have gotten lax on, if you will, because we can put our finger all the way out here on this $33 knife, and we have little or no fear of that knife folding up on us. So there you go, guys. Overall, the fit and finish on this thing, the fact that LionSteel stuck it to the man, so to speak, and said, here's my screws. Oh, we're not going to shine that up. We're going to satin it and radius everything. It's all going to fit really good, though, except for right here. And one last thing to talk about is I'm not a fan of this groove. I do like the swedge on the blade, though. But this nail nick, I prefer a nail nick like you would get in a buck 110. This one's alright, just not a huge fan of it. And there you go, guys. That is the LionSteel round head. It's kind of a cool knife. Unfortunately, with how little pressure there is on that back spring, I have to put this knife in that group of collector knives, not in the group of carry knives, because I'm going to tell you right now, I would hurt myself with this thing. I know, that's sad, but I would. I have spent so much time in my life with locking knives, and knives with much stronger back springs, that it would be dangerous for me. Maybe it's not for you, and if it isn't, that's fine. But LionSteel, if you're looking to make this knife better, first off, continue using the screws, but get us some better looking screws. Get us some screws that have been broached out so everything looks clean and looks really, really good. Work on this area right here. This is just an opinion. This is fine. I like the kind of smiley looking nail nicks, and strengthen that back spring. If you're doing it for some legal restriction somewhere in the world, whenever you're sending these guys to the United States, whenever you're sending these guys to places where we don't have those laws, put a stiffer back spring in it. Don't put it in so stiff we can't open it, but put in a back spring that's going to hold it open and keep the knife from being dangerous for those of us that don't use slip joint knives regularly. And guys, again, look at that blade. That is a big deal there. That number right there, M390. And it is such a beautiful one. They've done a nice satin on it. They've done a really beautiful swedge up there. Got everything evened up real nice. And that is the LionSteel round head, guys. I know, kind of a rambly, off-the-cuff review, but I'm just not a traditional knife guy for the most part. But I wanted you guys to get a chance to see this one because it is a departure, and it's a good departure. And it's possibly kind of the direction some of these traditional companies need to be going to reel some of the rest of us in. And I think LionSteel's doing a good thing, showing people where to go and how to get there with a pretty darn nice knife and a beautiful, beautiful blade. You guys have a wonderful day. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and I will see you next time.